Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and today we have something awesome to check out. And not only something awesome to check out, this is only the second time I've ever had the pleasure of checking out a product from this company. This is from Deep Time Fossils. We are taking a look at their Mosasaurus skull. And it states here that this is the Mosasaurus SP, which means I believe this is the Mosasaurus that was discovered in Kansas, if I remember correctly. But obviously we've got ourselves an amazing looking skull, and to say that this is jaw-dropping would be an understatement. If you actually just take a look at this as we kind of turn it here and just get a nice look at the skull itself, you can see how impressive this is. That is honestly insanely impressive. Now, I do have numerous skulls in my, as far as skull replicas go, of course, in my collection. I don't have any skull replicas of Mosasaurus, so that is a great thing straight out of the gate. This is also one of the single most high-quality skull replicas I've seen, and even to the point of looking like a legitimate skull. Like, honestly, if I had a real skull of a Mosasaurus here that was the same size as this one, I don't think I could tell the difference. It looks that legitimate here in person. I also have a sticker, and you can see the sticker very nicely shows off a Mosasaurus skeleton, or I should say a Mosasaurus skull, and specifically this skull that we have right here. And one of the key defining features, I think, that gives that away for me is when we turn it here and we actually face the two in the same direction. First of all, they look identical, but the break in the jaw, which you can see right here, is on the sticker as well. So that's really cool to actually have a sticker of the Mosasaurus skull that we are taking a look at. That's definitely really neat. But honestly, this thing looks amazing. I'm so excited to take a closer look at this one now, because we have previously taken a look at the Stegosaurus skeleton from Deep Time Fossils. This is our first chance to take a look at a skull replica from them, so let's jump to a closer look right now. So we've now disconnected it from the base that was holding it. You can very clearly see it does come off of the base. And now we have our first chance to really get a nice close look at it. And honestly, you can't dare deny how insanely impressive this thing is. Like, that looks as real and genuine as it gets. If you just go ahead and grab yourself a whole bunch of replicas, fossil replicas and stuff from Deep Time Fossils, you could pretty much open your own museum with how good these look. If you get nice and close, you can see that the actual texturing and everything of this is fantastic. The scan that they used to, recreate this replica obviously is a very good 3D scan, because it has completely captured every little tiny crack and crevice and shift in the detail in perfect fashion. Like, look at how unbelievably impressive that skull looks. If you move here along through the course of this skull and just really take in the detailing aspect, man, is that ever a beauty. And not only have they captured the skull again perfectly, they've captured all of the different areas that you might see on the skull. As far as, of course, imperfections, every little crack and chip to the skull itself, you can see the teeth as well have been captured very nicely. I love the fact that they've actually painted the teeth out with a black, but of course painted the skull out very nice and very realistically, using many different tones of color. Honestly, there's so much variation of color on this, it's really quite crazy. You can see variations of greens, browns, tans, reddish browns. Like, there is a lot. And when I say a lot, for a skull replica, there is a lot of coloration added to this, and it looks extremely natural and extremely real. And I love that, especially as you move through the course of the mouth, you can see some areas where our Mosasaurus has lost some of the teeth. You can see the, open areas where the teeth used to be. So it's just so crazy to be able to, acquire things like this, and to be able to hold this in your hands and know that this is an exact scan replica of a Mosasaurus that actually once lived. That's just unreal. You never really take things like that into consideration at times, or at least maybe I just don't. And when I do, I feel like, I most often take things like that for granted. So every once in a while, when you really iron out that thought. It just makes the entire thing so much more magical, if you ask me. And you can see, of course, everything looks just as impressive over here on this side. The eye socket and everything is, of course, really quite large here on the side of the Mosasaurus. And as you move back here, again, just look at how real it looks. It's honestly almost hard to put into words just how impressive this is. It somehow looks even better than the Stegosaurus skeleton that I had taken a look at, and I didn't think it could get better than that. But this Mosasaurus skull is on another level. You can't see the inside. This is the very first time I'm actually getting a chance to really look at this, so like I'm almost in a state of awe looking at it for the first time with you guys. I'm just really kind of trying to take it all in. It is actually so realistic looking. It almost, again, looks like if I were just walking along the side of a riverbed or even the ocean and I just happen to find a washed up skull on the side of the beach or on the side of the riverbed or something, I absolutely could see it looking exactly like this Mosasaurus skull does. Everything looks so real. It even almost looks like, with the way they painted it, it almost looks like it has like a slight amount of the flesh and stuff still attached to it that's still kind of eroding away. So again, when it comes to a skull replica, I'm not sure I've ever seen one more impressive than this. And then you also have a really nice base that goes with it. Again, you've got the nameplate right there, which does say Mosasaurus SP, and you have the very nice wooden base, a bit different than what we had seen with the Stegosaurus. The Stegosaurus had a black base. This one has a really nice wood finish to it, and you can see as you move it around, it looks very nice from every angle. Here on the back, you can see Tribold Paleontology incorporated, and on the underside, you can see we have the little soft circles there so that it stays nice and snug wherever you put it on whatever, table or shelf you put it on, and it also does not damage that area. And you also have the peg, of course, to hold the Mosasaurus skull on there. So let's go ahead, pop it back on, and we'll get a size. So now you can see our Mosasaurus skull is back on the base. It looks really nice on the base. And another thing that's actually really quite cool about this skull, and you often find this with many skull replicas, but you can turn it while it's on the peg, and that allows you to kind of display it basically from whatever angle you would want. You can even completely spin it around if you would like to go that route, which is really cool. I definitely like that aspect as well. But once you stop it in the spot that you want it, it stays there very nicely. As far as a length goes for our Mosasaurus skull, from the back of the skull to the end of the lower jaw, about 7¼ inches or around 18½ centimeters. And then for a height, you are looking at about a little over 5¼ inches, heading toward 5½, but not quite, or around maybe a hair under, well, a little bit under 14 centimeters. Not quite a hair. And then as far as the base goes, about 6 inches or around almost 15½ centimeters. And then for a width here on the base, a little over 2½ inches or closing in on 7 centimeters, but not quite there. For a size comparison, there is Mr. Papo T-Rex, the Attack Pack Colovosaurus, Robert Muldoon, and the Collect A Human Being next to our Mosasaurus skull. And you can see it does still have a pretty decent size. Obviously, it's not massive by any means, but it's pretty much, I would say, like the perfect size for something like this. Exactly the type of size you could use for like a skull to put on your work desk or your computer desk or something like that. Just a really beautiful display piece. We've also got a few more Mattel figures with a Velociraptor and Dilophosaurus stepping in for a comparison. We've also got some more randoms with the Safari LTDU Tyrannus, Schleich Diabloceratops, and Collect A Deluxe Dimetrodon next to our Mosasaurus skull. And then when it comes to a gorgeous display, you've got the PNSO Mosasaurus here that you can bring in next to the Deep Time Fossils skull replica. And look at how cool these look together. They are definitely a very nice companion piece to go together. And we've also got the Papo Mosasaurus. Now, of course, I've got plenty more Mosasaurus, but it's pretty obvious that we are not going to find one that would scale with this outside of maybe the Mattel version. Although I think the Mattel version would probably be a little bit too large for this one, but I just don't have the Mattel Mosasaurus here. It's not one that I usually keep in my collection room. I usually keep that in storage. So unfortunately, I don't have it here to display with this one. But outside of that, I really don't think I have any Mosasaurus that are even half as large as you would need to size, correctly with the skull that we have here. But any Mosasaurus that you may have in your collection would look awesome next to it. So this Deep Time Fossils Mosasaurus skull is absolutely unbelievable. If I'm being completely honest, it is easily one of the most incredible, highest quality skull replicas, not even just skull replicas, fossil replicas I've ever seen. I have a lot of fossil replicas actually in my collection, but I don't know that I've really seen very many that can compete with how real this actually looks. It looks so genuine. They've put a lot of work into this. You can tell that they definitely care about their products and clearly aim to give you the highest quality product possible. And you can absolutely see that through this entire Mosasaurus skull, no matter where you look, whether it's how good the actual 3D scan is, how nice and vibrant the detail looks on the skull, the overall presentation they've given us here with the nameplate and the base, or even all the way down to the paintwork of the skull. Everything is as high quality as you could possibly ask for, and in my opinion, it just says a lot about the love and care that goes into this type of thing from Deep Time Fossils. They definitely have some of, if not the most high quality fossil replicas I've ever seen, and I've only taken a look at the Stegosaurus skeleton, which was unbelievable. If you haven't seen that video, you need to check that out. And then, of course, this Mosasaurus skull, and both are absolutely outstanding. So as I did with the Stegosaurus review, I'm going to include a link in the description to where you can head on over to Deep Time Fossils website, and you can check out their site, grab yourself some amazing fossil replicas. They have all sorts of skulls and stuff on there, all kinds of different species, whether it be dinosaurs all the way up to prehistoric mammals. So you've got a lot to look through, a lot to choose from. So make sure you check out Deep Time Fossils, grab yourself some of their amazing fossil replicas today, and also like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.